What's up everybody, and welcome to another edition of AGR's Pop Culture Reviews. And I guess you can consider this the Valentine's Day edition. For all you couples out there tuning into the show, hopefully you're watching it together. Happy San Valentin! And here's one of the cool things about what I do. Occasionally I go through my inventory and try to see more or less what I haven't gotten a review to, and just occasionally, actually most of the time, I come across this beautiful gem. This is my Valentine's Day gift, so to speak. Now, I do have to talk about the obvious. Ghost in the Shell recently had a live-action adaptation starring Scarlett Johansson, and unfortunately, the movie wasn't that good. Ironically, the original manga of Ghost in the Shell really talks about humanity and how close machine and man are coming together. And Scarlett Johansson, unfortunately, her performance was very robotic. I don't think it was intentional, I think it was just a fundamental misunderstanding of the character, and the complexity of the original manga and the subsequent anime. In any event, the original Ghost in the Shell and the subsequent series Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex have been one of the most influential animes ever. So today we're going to be reviewing the 1/6 scale statue of Motoko Kusanagi from Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. Let's take a closer look. Now, one of the things that I do have to mention is this is actually not the original statue. This is actually a reissue, and thank God they did this because most people really missed out on the initial run. Now, I'm not sure if there's too many differences from the original one, but this one still looks great. The head sculpt is fantastic. I absolutely love those beautiful and iconic anime eyes. The hair sculpt is particularly interesting. I love that it's kind of flowing to one side, which looks great, and is really an iconic look for her. Now, for obvious reasons, the upper torso of this figure is incredibly impressive, and not in the way that you obviously think. The sculpt on the jacket in particular is great. The folds look fantastic, and I know this is PVC, but it does look like leather, and it's great. Also, love the shading in her corset. Now, this is where this statue really shines. Not only does it give it really great 3-dimension, but I love the contrast between the darker shades of purple and the lighter ones. It really makes it pop. Now, as many of us know, Motoko Kusanagi is really fit, and it really shows through in this piece. I especially love the skin tones here, and the hips, guys, they just look amazing. They're not over amplified, and they're not exaggerated. It looks great. I also like the crotch area, which they did a high gloss black, and it really contrasts against the rest of the suit, and I think it gives it this amazing presence. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, how in the hell is this tactical? Why would anybody in Section 9 wear a costume like this? But you have to remember, she is a cyborg, so, you know, she's pretty heavily armored. I think one of my favorite aspects of this piece is definitely in the stance. It does mean everything. The attention to detail here is great. I especially love her boots. They look awesome, very well sculpted, and I have to say, the shading, especially where the shin guards meet the actual boot, look fantastic, very futuristic looking. And I have to say, you know what, it also kind of looks like those Nikes that we saw in Back to the Future 2. It just looked really futuristic and very cyberpunk, which is the staple of the actual series. You know, one of the trends that I see in many of the PVC statues is that the armaments on the figures are always very subtle. She's always got a kind of handgun or a Beretta or some kind of 9mm just behind her hip, out of sight, which is really cool. She's beautiful, but she's packing heat, and if you're not careful, Motoko Kusanagi will mess your ass up. It is pretty detailed, but I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of a wash, maybe a dry brush, just to make it look a little bit more used and worn. But overall, it looks great in terms of the sculpt. Now, this statue is nothing if it's not oozing freaking style, guys. I love the fact that her leather jacket is kind of slung over her shoulder, exposing it, which looks great. As I mentioned before, the folds here are fantastic. This looks like actual leather. And guys, this is definitely a statue that you absolutely have to have a mirrored back. This begs to be reflected, guys. So if you have a way of basically getting a mirror finish for this so that you can see the reverse side of this statue, you definitely have to do it. Look at this, guys. It is absolutely beautiful. Now, I'm not sure if I recall this or not, and maybe you guys can check me on this, but if I remember correctly, the original statue had more of a round base, or not a base at all. I can't remember. But what they've done here in this kind of reissue is excellent, guys. This is cool. I love that it's a black, thin wedge, and it looks amazing, guys. It's very reflective, and it simply states Standalone Complex. I mean, this is probably one of the coolest things about this statue, and it really makes it a centerpiece. I absolutely love this aspect. The other cool thing about this piece is that it's actually pretty tall. I think it stands about 9.5 inches, which makes it pretty substantial. This is easily a holy grail piece for me, guys. It was with the original run, and definitely with this reissue. So if you missed out on it in the first run, I definitely recommend that you get it now, guys, because I know this thing will sell out soon. This is awesome. Now before I go, I just want to thank the folks over at Big Bad Toy Store for sending this wonderful piece over for a review, and if you're interested in this and other collectibles, please visit www.bigbadtoystore.com. Alright everybody, so that's my official review on the 1/6 scale Motoko Kusanagi statue from Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. As always, I thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next AGR's Pop Culture Reviews.